Okay, so yesterday we learned about working with JavaScript output statements, JavaScript output techniques, means how JavaScript can present information. For that, we have learned about alert and conform, and we have console options, log, warn, info, so many other error like that. Another we learned about inner HTML, outer HTML, inner text, inner text. Another is document dot write. These are all the basic output techniques. We learned how JavaScript refers HTML and how JavaScript will present output. Now, next important JavaScript input techniques. Input techniques. In JavaScript, how we can handle input. Input is nothing but allowing the user to provide a value so that we can take the value and use it. So, JavaScript input techniques, we have two techniques. We can use a prompt or we can use form input elements. Form input elements you learned in HTML. Text box, radio, checkbox, drop downs, we can use them. So input techniques, we have prompt and we have form input elements. Prompt is nothing but prompt is just like prompt is it is like alert with input. It is just like an alert with input. So here some important points are there. So for example, see, suppose I am giving a simple program here. Let's write. I am giving a button, say create folder. Now a paragraph. Let's run this here. So create folder is a button, and when user clicks create folder, we want a new folder created message. We are not creating folder, just we want that concept. But when you want to create a folder, you need to name the folder. That means you have to provide a name for by which name you want the folder. Here there is nothing to give name. Button will not take any value. So button is not suitable for input. Then what we should do? We should use folder name and we should put a input type as text. Then it looks okay. That means we will enter the folder name, so some movies, and click create folder. But this input is not regular. Means every day we don't create folder. In that case, this place is waste, this space is waste. That means you cannot allocate fixed space for optional things. So you see you have Google Drive. In Google Drive, you can upload files. You can upload into folder, you can upload into existing folder, you can create new folder. We don't create new folder every time. But when we want to create a folder, then it should ask folder name. Otherwise, it should not display this. That means this screen will occupy space on screen and it will disturb other contents. So what we want is If your input is not regular, optional input, so in that case, here button on click, create click, and we will write a function. Function is create click. So this function will fire up when user clicks the button. We will use a prompt. In the prompt, we will put a message saying that enter folder name. Now you see what happens when I click create folder, a message box will come. This is same like alert, so which will allow input of value. But what is problem is you can input only one value and it is only string type. You cannot have a radio button, you cannot have a checkbox. It's only just text box. Whatever you type inside it, it is treated as string only. So here, when you are using prompt, actually for prompt, we will have syntax like this. So prompt and your message and comma, you can put default value if necessary. That is optional. You can put some default value into prompt, your message and default value. That means by default, the prompt is empty. That means it is not having anything inside it. You can see by default prompt is empty. Now what I can do is here we can write folder name, comma. Here we can say new folder. That is default. Now what happens is when I click on this button, by default it will have that new folder. If you want, you can remove it and you can enter some name. So by default, if you don't give any name, by default it will take this. So if you want empty, leave it empty. If you want any default name, you can keep that default name. So that is the default name here. So for that, so we can put a default name. Now this prompt will return three important things. So prompt actually returns prompt returns null. It returns the keyword null on cancel. Prompt returns empty. So this is actually empty. Prompt returns empty. So on OK without value. And prompt returns value on OK with value. There are three consequences. That means prompt returns null, prompt returns empty, and prompt return empty means double quotes, empty double quotes, and prompt returns value. So prompt have three things here. For example, see here, when I click create folder, there are three consequences. One is user may click cancel with value, without value. If user clicks cancel, what this box is going to return? Yesterday we learned confirm. When you click cancel, what confirm is returning? Confirm is returning false. Confirm returns false, true. On OK, it will return true. On cancel, it will return false. But prompt, when you click cancel with value or without value, it will return null. So it will return null. When I click OK without value, When I click OK without value, it will return empty. When I click OK with value, then it will return that value. So what we have to do now, we have to capture this and store it in a variable, in a reference. Later we will learn variables. As of now, just put some X, or just you give here folder name. That means folder name. So here now it contains three situations. We will write a condition. If folder name is equal to null, equal, double equal is used for comparison, single equal is for assigning. So that means later in operators and all you will learn, but situation wise I am just showing you few points. Suppose if I say x equal to 10, then 10 will be stored in x. X double equal to 10, 10 will be compared with x. Comparison. If you want to compare double equal. So you have triple equal also. This is for comparing same type. That means x is number, then left side number, right side also number. If left side string, right side also string. Both same type comparison, then you have to use this triple equal. Different types of comparison, then you can use double equal. So later you will learn detailedly, but as of now, if it is equal to null, then what should happen? We will put a message, document.write. We will put a message, you cancelled, because null is returned on cancel. Okay. Else, if one more condition is, if folder name is equal to empty. If folder name is equal to empty means empty double quotations. So document.write. So name cannot be empty. We will display this message. Name cannot be empty. Or we will put a reasonable technical message saying that please provide folder name. That's the message. Please provide folder name. Okay. Else, that means it is not null and it is not empty. That means it is having value. If it is not null and it is not empty, that means it is having value. If it is having value, then what should do? I want to display the value inside this paragraph. How to display the how to collect the paragraph? Document dot. Currently paragraph is not having any ID and all. Then we can use query selector. Query selector, which element? Paragraph. Inside it, if you want to display anything, what we have to do? Inner HTML. Inner HTML, what message? I will give folder created, and plus is concatenation. Plus which message? Message is folder name. That means whatever the value stored inside that folder name, it will be displayed and attached to this string. Plus is here used for concatenation, combining. That means the variable name, its value is combined with this string. Now see, now all the three consequences are ready. I click create folder. I clicked cancel without entering any name. Then it will say you cancelled. So that means it is returning null. We verified correctly with null. Okay. Create folder without value. I clicked OK. Then it will say please provide folder name. Another message will come. Okay. We will provide some folder name. So movies, and click OK. Then it will say folder created. So actually folder is not created. We're just displaying message. Our intention is to create, take input from user. how we can take input from user. Here a lot of points. If I create again, this is only one time operation. If I create again and I enter, remember that is not stored anywhere in database or anywhere. So this is temporary output. If you put some music, then it will put music. So you can do one thing, just you can put inner HTML plus equal. If I put plus equal and at the end after folder name plus BR will put a line break. That means now see, I click create folder. So here movies, then folder created movies. Again click create folder, say music. So folder created music. Plus equal means already what is there, to that add the new message also. Otherwise it will replace the message. Old message is replaced with new. But this is all temporary, because when I click cancel, this is all gone. When I refresh again, it will put normal. So those are all not permanently stored anywhere. We are just temporarily taking the value and we are displaying those values. This is one technique of taking input from user. Then what is problem with this input is everything is string. Suppose I want to take password as input, then whatever he types, it will expose there, because it is a text box only. So whatever you type, anybody can see. If I want to give a choice like gender, male or female, you can't have that, because prompt can have only text box. Then what we have to do, we have to design our own dialog boxes like that. And we have to create our own forms. Through forms, we have to take the input. So the three consequences for this is null, empty, and value. So this is a simple example here. This program is a simple example. So what we written, a simple example for that. Now second important is we can handle input by using form input elements. Input using form input elements. This is good. If a standard input is expected, then you can use form input elements. That means form input elements are simple, you know already. Form input elements means you can use form input elements like, so text box, password, number, email, radio, checkbox, list box, drop down, all these things, drop down, etc. We can use these elements and we can handle them. Let's see how we can manage input by using these elements. How we can handle input by using these elements. We will create one interface. We will create a screen for this. Let's do. So we will use all the bootstrap and everything here. So let's create some input and design. Let's see here the page. Okay. Now here I am using link. So relation is equal to style sheet. href is equal to node modules, bootstrap, dist CSS, bootstrap CSS. And in the body section, script source is node modules, jQuery, dist CSS, jQuery.js. Another one script source is node modules, bootstrap, in that dist js bootstrap bundle.js. So this is, and body class container fluid. Okay. Now here we are adding a simple div. Okay. So I will put here the class as row columns we will give, or we will do one thing. Simply we will keep a pop-up. So I will give here a button. So I will keep a header, say register new product. And here we have a register button. Class, so btn and btn some primary. Okay. This is the basic input for the options. So this is basic form. Now what happens is, what should happen here is, when user clicks on this register button, a pop-up should come. Same like prompt, but prompt is belonging to browser. We want to create our own dialog box, and in the dialog box, user should enter details. We have to collect them and use. So we will put here for this register, I will keep this button here itself in the heading. That looks okay. Now here I will just add a div, and we will use a model, and here ID as register product, that is the model name. And you know how to design a bootstrap model. We have to use model dialog. Okay, in that we have to use model content, the order. And here we have another div. This is a model header. And here we say register new product. Okay. And here below this we will keep this is button, and the class as btn close, it, and it should use database dismiss as a model. It should dismiss the model. And we have another div. So the class is model body. In this model body, I will create a data list with the data term as name. Data definition input type is equal to text, and the class form control, and another data term price. Data definition input type is equal to text, and here class as a form control, and another data term is suppose shipped to, and data definition select uses a class called form select, and in that we have option some Delhi, another option some Hyderabad. Okay. And here another data term we have stock, and the data definition input type is equal to checkbox, and here available. Okay. I will give here class as form switch, and for this class as form check input. Okay, this is in the model body, and we will create the class model footer. So model footer. In the model footer, we have a button. So class btn and btn primary, and this is okay. So, or we say submit. Okay. And we have another button, class btn and btn danger, and say cancel. And this also will have database dismiss as model. Okay, this model should fire up when user clicks the register button. So database target. Target is hash, register product. Data BS toggle. Toggle is a model. Okay, everything ready. Now when I click on this register, then it shows the pop-up here, register product. So we will put here some effect for the model is fade. We will use a fade effect for that. Then it will slowly pop up that and display. Now when user enters the details, here, the name, price, shipped to and all, and clicks on submit, we have to collect the details and display. So that means we need to take input from the user from a form, and we need to submit those details. We have to collect the details and submit. That's very simple because we already know how to refer elements in the form. Now on submit we have to do. Currently on submit nothing is written. So on cancel it will cancel the dialog. On close it will cancel the dialog. On close it is going to cancel the dialog. So now on submit also it should close the dialog. So then it should close the dialog on submit. Then on submit also data BS dismiss model. But extra work what it has to do is after closing it should collect the data and display whatever details we entered. That means it should do some more work. Then for this submit button we will write on click, submit click. So that means we need to write a function here. We need to define a function here. So this function is submit click. On submit click we have to collect all the data. So in order to collect the data, you have so many text boxes and different types of controls. Then better put a reasonable ID for everyone. So for this ID, txt name. For this ID, txt price. For this ID, so LST cities. Okay, that is next. For this ID OPT stock, like this. We are using reasonable project traditions. Already we know this is called camel case. And when you are naming, I already told you naming conventions. First 3 characters should able to tell which control it is. And next word should tell for what purpose it is. So txt indicates text box. btn indicates button. OPT indicates option. So like radios and check boxes. LST indicates list, like a drop down list or list box like things. So these are traditionally names. Okay, now they have reasonable names. Fine. Now where to show these details? That means to show the details you need to allocate some place. So here I will create another div, and this div I will put a heading. So as product details, and here I will create a data list with a term name. Data definition is empty. Data term is price. Data definition is empty. Data term is some shipped to, and data definition empty. Another data term stock. Data definition is empty. These are product details. And the product details, so we will keep these side by side. Then we will put class as row, and for data terms we will put a class call 3. For all terms we will use the class 3, all terms, and all definitions we will use the call as 9. Call 9 for all the terms. definitions. For all definitions, I am using col9. And the name should be displayed inside this data definition. Then in that case, for that we need an ID, LBL name. And here I need ID, LBL price. LBL is like label. Labels are used for displaying messages, titles, captions, and all. And we are using data definition as label, or you can put a label element inside it. Directly we will display in data definition. So LBL city, LBL city, and ID LBL as a stock. Okay, so now the point is, by default, I don't want to display them. I don't want to display them. By default, I don't want to display. That means this part must not be displayed. Then I will put here, this div contains an ID called details container. Details container is ID, and you know how to hide it. Style display as none. That means details container is not shown. Details container is not displayed. We are not displaying the details container. And when I click on register, the pop-up will come. And when I click on submit, then details container should show. That means on submit click, we already fired up an event here. And on submit click, the details container should display. How you will do that? We have to access the details container. So document dot get element by ID. So details container, that is the div. To that we need to apply style. Which style we want to apply? Display. Display should be what? It should be block. Actually, the style display for it is none. Now we changed that display style to block. Then what happens here? I click on register, and currently we are not writing any logic to collect the data, but when I click on submit, it will collect and display the details. That means the product details will be shown when user clicks on that button. So what extra work now we have to do? And your wish, actually, what you can do is, you can hide this container. You can hide this heading. You can hide this container. Suppose I given this another div, and this div is having, I will just use button only, no heading, nothing. Just I will use simple button, and I will say register new product. Okay, this is there, and I will just keep this div. So class as margin top 3, it will be little bit down. And what I want here is, I want an ID. This is register container. This is register container. Now, when user clicks the submit button, details container will show, and a register container should hide. Then it's a simple now. Document dot get element by ID. What is it? Register container. Register container style display. What we have to set? None. It should be set to none. That means now initially we have register product, and we are entering the details, and click submit. Then it will display only product details. Product details. We will do one thing here. What we will do is, here we will keep inside this details container, we will put a button here. So class BTN and BTN primary or BTN info, and we will keep here edit. We'll keep an option edit. So what we will do is, on this edit, we will use data BS target again. Data BS target. So it should get that model again. So that means hash, what is it? Register product. And data BS toggle. So data BS toggle. What we have to toggle? Model. model. And you see here now, I click on register new product. This form will come, click submit. So details will come. There is an edit button. When I click again, the form will open. That means if you want, you can do some modifications into it and display, right? So here, that is why we learned CSS, Bootstrap so many days, right? Sometimes people are very excited. When we start HTML, they ask, sir, when you will start JavaScript? But when I start JavaScript and start giving the work on JavaScript, then you can't handle it. This is very beginning level. This is not lengthy program. This is introduction program you have seen. This is an introduction of JavaScript. Still we haven't entered into JavaScript, right? The complexity is JavaScript is very, very complex. If you are not good with your forms, you are not good with your HTML, not good with your CSS and Bootstrap, you can't even understand what we are discussing in this class. Because some people come, so ignoring HTML, CSS, they think that from JavaScript I will regularly attend, right? So regularly you will attend and you will finish also. But by the end of JavaScript, you will ask what happened in JavaScript. Like it will be like Christopher Nolan movie. You know Christopher Nolan, Interstellar, Inception. So you will be watching Interstellar movie, then you say for every scene you will clap. So great, IMAX on IMAX. By the end of movie, you will ask what is story. You can't understand his movies. Very high level intellectual movies. Somebody need to explain you his movies. You can't understand Christopher Nolan movies. But very high level graphics, very high level concepts. Even astronauts cannot understand Interstellar. So that is the concept behind his, right? So the point is, it looks okay while watching on screen. But if you don't practice, you can't handle this. You need very much practice for JavaScript. And this is very basic level. So much complexity will come. Once you are attending MNC level interviews, lot of tasks are given on JavaScript only. Because they have to test your logical skills. At MNC level, we need people with good logic skills, more than presentation skills. Because MNCs look for logical skills so that they can update their candidate with other complex technologies later if we want. If he is not good in logical skills, he can't handle technologies. So till this moment, what you learned is different. Now what you are learning is very important, very complex. You need good practice every day. Okay. So here, what we are discussing is out of language concept. We haven't entered into language. So I don't need to explain what is a model, how to open the model, how to close the model, how to hide, show. These are all general things. Only you need to know is in JavaScript, how to call it, how to refer it. Rest of idea is your HTML. Rest of idea is your Bootstrap. That means you have to get idea how I can invoke this model again if I want. Right? Suppose if I don't give this button, and I say new product and I click on submit, then it gets these details. Now somebody will immediately ask, sir, if I want again to modify, how? You should not ask, you should be able to implement. You should not ask like, how do I open that register again? Do I need to refresh? No, why you will refresh? You can open that model any number of times. That idea you should get now. That idea you have to think now. So nobody should explain you. You should be able to recall these language related basics. So Bootstrap related basics. You have to put those ideas there. Because some examples we will show here. But in interviews, they give examples similar to that, but little bit complex. Then you have to put your brain, understand where to keep the options, how to define and use them. So this is incomplete, not yet finished. When I click, when I enter the details into it, and when I click submit, we have to collect and show in these labels now. That's very simple actually. So what we have to do, collect the value from text box called txt name and display the value inside LBL name. So that is one line actually. What we have to do now, in submit click, collect the label where you want to show document dot get element by ID LBL the name. What is it? LBL name, which what element it is? It is a DD, data definition. In data definition, how to show any value? We have to use inner HTML. So what value you need to store inside it? The value coming from text box. How to collect text box? Document dot get element by ID txt name. It will collect text box, but I want text box value. Then we have to use dot value. This is how we can collect that information. So that is okay, easy. Price also easy. So city also easy. Why? Because see document dot get element by ID LBL price. So dot inner HTML document get element by ID txt price dot value. That's also fine. Now one more is there, document get element by ID LBL city dot inner HTML document get element by ID list drop down box. Drop down box ID we given as LST cities, and LST cities contains options. Options also have value. We learned now every option have value, text, disabled, selected. Every option will have 4 properties: value property, text property, disabled property, and selected. So which one we want? Value. So list box value means option value it will get. Whatever the option value is there, it will get the option value and use it. So up to this, everything fine. But checkbox problem. Why checkbox problem? Because checkbox is have to take decision now. Is it on or off? How to verify checkbox is on or off? Checkbox on is checked. Checkbox have a property called checked. If checked property is there, that means it is on. If not checked, that means it is off. So what we have to do now, here we will create a variable called stock. Temporarily we will just give names. That's enough. It will work. So stock. Okay. So we will check the condition. If we have to collect the checkbox also. Checkbox. We will collect the checkbox. That means I will write here stock checkbox. Stock checkbox. How to collect the checkbox? Document dot get element by ID OPT stock. OPT stock is checkbox. That means we are collecting the checkbox and we are verifying now if the stock checkbox dot checked, understood? Dot checked means it is selected. Then if checkbox is checked, then stock variable should contain a value as so available. If not checked, else what should happen? Stock is a variable. Stock should contain out of stock. It should contain out of stock. So that means we have to collect the checkbox. We have to verify whether it is checked or not. If checked, then one message. If not checked, another message. Actually, you can do lot of shortcut things, but that you will able to do later once you are good in program. Initially, we will learn technique. Later we will learn the shortcut techniques. That means how we can make this more simple. So that for that you need to learn a lot of language. So now I need to display this stock inside a label. So what is the label? There is a last label called LBL stock. So document dot get element by ID LBL stock dot inner HTML. In that I want to display that stock. That's it. That stock contains available or out of stock. Then that will be changing according to the checkbox checked or not. That means we are collecting the checkbox and we are verifying the checkbox checked. If checkbox is checked, we display stock as available and that is displayed in the label. If not checked, then we will display out of stock, out of stock. Now see here, everything is done. Collecting values from text boxes, drop downs and using them easy because straightforward. Collect value and assign to label. But radios checkbox, later we will see radios and others. So no hurry. We will see one by one all the controls, how to handle them. Initially, we are using a drop down, we are using text box and we are using checkbox. Now here we are clicking on register new product and we are entering the details, some Samsung TV and some price and shipped to some city and stock available I am turning on and I click on submit and these details are submitted. And here some stock is not there. Stock is not there. What is the problem here? So why stock is not available? How it is going to handle that? You see now LBL stock. So where is it? Value. Yeah. We will check the error here. Inspect, go to console, go to console. Yeah. In the console, now enter the details. We have name, some Samsung TV, some price, the price and some city we selected and we selected the stock and submit and see the problem stock is not defined. Stock is not defined. So because here we declared a variable, right? Stock. So this is the stock variable and we are trying to use that stock variable and apply some value into that. And it is saying that this stock is not defined. The stock is not defined, right? That means it is unable to access that variable and use that variable. Why? Because so many points are there. Because you need to understand where to collect the value, where to store the value and define the value. Actually, this stock is currently not having anything. Suppose I will put here empty. This indicates that it is an empty string. Suppose I entered some name, TV, some price, some shipped to and click on submit, then it says out of stock because I haven't selected it. And you click here and you say available, then it will say available. So only the point is, so when you declare a variable, we need to first understand what type of value you are going to store inside it. So you can't leave it empty. That means, is it a number? Is it a string? Is it a boolean? What type of value you are going to store inside it? Those basics you will learn because we haven't yet learned about variables. So we declared a variable called stock. In that stock, currently it is empty. We are expecting a string that we update according to the value available. So now you can see that is, I click on register product. I entered the name, suppose TV, some price and some shipped to. So, and so stock available, submit, the details will come. I click on edit and I made the changes here, some Samsung TV and I changed here city and click submit. Those details are updated here. That means we are allowing the user to input value and we are allowing the user to display the value. So now here we are having both input and output. Design your wish. So design your wish. How you design? You can on and off the containers, or what you can do is you can keep left side register panel, right side details panel. No turn on and off. When user enters left side, those details will display right side. That's it. So that depends on how you want to present the content, how you want to handle the content. So this is one basic example of how to handle input by using form elements. So for that, some basics we have to know. What are the basics? First point is, so every form element, so must have a reference ID. That is important. Like we have input type text, then it should have an ID, some txt name like this. Suppose we have a select, then it should have an ID lst cities like this. Suppose we have a checkbox, input type is equal to checkbox ID opt stock like this. Every element must have a reference ID. Now you can access element and use its properties. You can access element and use its properties. So how we can do? Document dot get element by ID txt name. It's a text box. Then we can use value. Document get element by ID and lst cities. Lst cities is a value, but document dot get element by ID, get element by ID opt stock. It will not use value. We use checked. Checked is verified with true or false. True or false. Checked is verified with true or false because checked is what type? Boolean type. True or false. That is how we do manage the input and handle it. Right. So this is the syntactical technique. Example, I will post this one, what we designed. And in this, we are using all our HTML bootstrap models and all we are using. So just like prompt, that means if anybody asks like in prompt only text box will come, can we put radio checkboxes in a prompt? You can't. Prompt will be only text box. Then if you want radio checkbox drop downs and all, then you design your own. So by using bootstrap models, we have to design that, right? So this is example. I will copy this example for you. This you need to try. This is the example for what we have learned. So these are the basic input and output techniques in JavaScript. While working with JavaScript, input and output techniques, how we can handle input and output. So for output, various methods depending on requirement. For input, two techniques. Prompt, if input is not regular and input is plain text. So if input is so complex, then you go with form elements. And how do we collect them and use them? We have seen how we can work with them. Now next, after understanding this, to start knowing about language in JavaScript, you have to know few more points. You have to know the frequently asked question in interviews is, what is strict mode of JavaScript? What is strict mode of JavaScript? What is strict mode of JavaScript? The strict mode of JavaScript. This is very important question. What is strict mode of JavaScript? Actually, one problem we will face as a developer in any programming language. You are learning any technology. One issue you will face is different people will give you different ideas. You are learning JavaScript from me. You may be learning from somebody else, somebody else, somebody else. Everyone gives you some different ideas in coding. Good. Those ideas are good about coding. But some coding ideas are not great. That means better avoid them. Don't use them. Because as per the rules, if you follow wrong approach, it will be difficult for compilers for translation. They will take more time. It will kill your processing time. So, and application will be so slow, performance will not be good. So developers should not do anything which is not so as per the tradition and rules. It will work, but you should not do that. The problem is, for example, see, what is why we need to know the strict mode. Actually, in JavaScript, suppose I will write a small program here. Okay, demo.html. Yeah, I am writing a simple script here, script. And in this we have x is equal to 10. Document.write x is equal to plus x, the value of x. So if any programmer generally who learn programming language, he sees at this and he will ask, what is x? And we say x is a variable. Then he will ask, where you declared it? It's not declared. A variable needs to be declared. So without declaring, we are trying to assign a value into it. That is okay. In JavaScript, it will work. In JavaScript, it will work. But not okay. Other programming languages cannot understand. So they will show error saying that x is not declared. So, but in JavaScript, so it is working. In JavaScript, it is working. There is no issue. So that means now due to this, what happens in a project, hundreds of people are working. You are in India team, you have a US team, you have a UK team. They may be using different editors also. I am using Visual Studio Code. Same project people in another country may be using some Sublime editor, some Edit Plus editor. We can't restrict them. You should not say that you should use only Visual Studio Code, right? His wish. He can use any editor, but he must follow same standard. That means I used one syntax style. He used another syntax style. Both belongs to same project. Lot of confusion. That means code inconsistency will come. So that is the reason we don't want developers to use their own techniques and tricks. We want all of them to follow certain standards. Then what we do is we ask all our JavaScript people to turn on strict mode, If strict mode is on, then we have to follow the coding standards. If you are not following the coding standards, then it will show errors. So it will not allow developers to violate the coding standards. So that means how you can ask to turn on strict mode. The first line should start with, in the quotations, use strict and semicolon. If you are writing in a separate JavaScript file, JS file, first line should be use strict. And if I put use strict, now you can see that I refresh, it's not working. Now you see here, I go to inspect, in that I go to console and go to console, and you will see X is not defined. But previously it was not a problem. That means here I removed this use strict. I removed that use strict, and you can see it's working fine. Refresh, it's working fine. So this leads to a lot of confusion in coding. We don't want that. We want the developers to follow certain standards. So that means if I put use strict, it says you need to declare X as per standards. Then every developer will declare X var X. Then it will work fine. So there is no problem. Later you will learn what is var and all. That is not the point. Here the concept is what is strict mode. So JavaScript strict mode. Answer is strict mode for JavaScript. Strict mode for JavaScript allows to reduce code inconsistency. Consistency, NCY, yeah. Consistency. It will allow to reduce the code inconsistency. So generally, so how we can turn on the strict mode? So that developers have to follow coding standards. So that developers have to follow coding standards. So for that we have to write like this: script and use strict, semicolon. And here we define X equal to 10, then document dot write X equal to plus X, then close the script. Now this will show, so this is invalid. Why invalid? X is not defined. So to make it valid, what we have to do, we have to declare var X and then we have to assign. That's how we can make it valid. A lot of other techniques are there. Just I showed you one point. So this is strict mode of JavaScript. And when you write JavaScript, you have to know about the strict mode. So, and a lot of coding standards are there. Those you start reading those standards. Whenever time permits, you start reading those standards. For that, you visit a website. So PMD, code analyzer. So code analysis. Says code analysis. It is a code analysis tool, code analyzer. So PMD, Sonar, so many are there. This PMD is good. You try this. You visit this PMD. You can just get PMD. This is the PMD code analyzer. This is code analyzer. So this code analyzer is nothing but it will tell the coding standards. That means, see, suppose I go to documentation. In the documentation left side, rule reference will be there. Go to rule reference, JavaScript rules, Java rules. JavaScript rules means ECMA. When I go to ECMA script rules, coding styles, best practices. When I go to coding styles, see here. So see here, suppose if statements. Here you see, it says that if you write code like this, that means it will show you this code. It says that this is okay and this is bad. That means now somebody teaching you some programming language will tell you that you can write if condition without curly brace. You will be very excited, like, oh, this is a trick. That is nonsense, not trick. Right? So that is complete nonsense. That is bad coding. Right? So that is not shortcut, time waste. Why? Because why curly brace is there? To tell the compiler where to start, where to stop. And you are not giving that, and you are giving a quiz to compiler. Try to understand where to start. Right? That time waste. Why you are doing that? So, and see, this is bad coding. So who says? People who developed it. That means people who developed this language, they say that this is bad. Then that is bad. Right? You should not follow that. So that is the reason the blind shortcuts that you generally learn from various sources, avoid them. Always know about the standards. You can read that here. I will show you later one more tool. That tool you can install in your Visual Studio. Then while typing itself, it will alert you. And so that you will easily understand the standards and get used to it. Actually, we call it as ESLint actually. ESLint. So that is actually JavaScript language analysis tool, ESLint. But now ESLint has been deprecated. Deprecated means no longer in use, removed actually. So alternatively, we have to visit the website and read the standards. I will give you that, right? But why we need to know this? Because we need to know coding standards. And the strict mode is very important. JavaScript strict mode. You should know what is strict mode. Another important is, this is very frequently asked interview question also. What is strict mode of JavaScript? Right. Next, another important is how to write JavaScript for legacy browsers. Legacy browser. How to write JavaScript for legacy browser? Legacy browser means old version browser. So because the problem is JavaScript now introduced so many new things which are not understandable to old version browsers. So then when you try to run your JavaScript in old version browsers, certain options are not recognized. Then we need to translate them. For example, actually in latest JavaScript, we have 2**3. 2**3 is actually 2 to the power of 3. That means its value is 8. 2 into 2 into 2, right? So this is recently added operator double asterisk. Earlier we don't have this in JavaScript. So any old version of JavaScript browsers, so old version browsers, they can't understand this operator. In old version, we have to write like this: math.pow 2 comma 3. That means 2 to the power of 3, which is 8. Now in the latest version, they introduced a special operator for that. And old version don't have that. Then if you write in this way, then old browsers can't understand. Then the browser engine should able to understand that this is new version. It should translate to old version and give it to the browser. So that means now how you will tell the browser engine that my code contains some new features, you need to translate to old legacy type. Then what we have to do is, when you write the code, this code must be enclosed. You have to enclose that code in HTML comments like this. You have to enclose the code in HTML comments. That is HTML comment. In HTML, comments are written in this way. That means when you are writing body section, if you want a comment in HTML, we have to use this. This is actually HTML comments. We are writing the code in HTML comments. And the code in HTML comments actually, so when I run this, the code in HTML comments working fine. There is no problem in that. So that means I written in HTML comments, that is working fine. Then why you are writing in HTML comments? What is this? So actually you will not see this from the recent JavaScript learners or developers. You will see this type of coding from very old developers. That means people who know old version browsers, new version browsers, they worked with both. Then they have an habit of writing like this. So recent browsers, actually recently what happened is we are using technologies like Angular, React, Vue, Backbone.js, these technologies we are using. In that case, those technologies have the ability to identify legacy browser and the modern browsers, and they will classify the code. They will generate two different codes automatically, internally. Earlier, we have to write manually. We have to write for legacy browser. We have to write for modern browsers. But now the technologies are good. They have a compilers in such a way that they will identify from which browser, which version request is coming. According to that, library will be sent. That's good. We call that mechanism as differential loading. In latest technologies, they are using a concept called differential loading. Differential loading will identify from which version browser the request is coming, and according to that, library will be generated. That's good. But earlier, developer have to write manually everything. So that is the reason this type of syntax you can see in very old projects. So from very expert developers. That means when you go to work in a company which is already developed project, in that you need to do some modifications, and it's a very old project. You will see people writing JavaScript like this. Then you should not be confused in that. Why? Because you should know that it is legacy code. That means this is the code targeted towards legacy browsers. So we need to write in this way. We need to write in this way. How to target JavaScript for legacy browsers? By enclosing the code in HTML comments. By enclosing the code in HTML comments. That means syntactically like this. By enclosing the code in HTML comments. We have to write like that. We have to use HTML comments. right? These are HTML comments. Now, JavaScript comments, we have two techniques. So, how to add JavaScript comments? JavaScript comments, so we have two techniques. One is double slash, this is single line comment, and slash asterisk and asterisk slash, this is multi-line comment. This is multi-line comment. Actually, we have triple slash, that is XML comment, which is not supported everywhere. Triple slash is also there, that is called XML comment. But later, not here, right? And this already we know. This is HTML comments. HTML comments. JavaScript comments, we have double slash and slash asterisk. So one line comment you can put with double slash. If you want comment in multiple lines, comment is nothing but it is not compiled and processed. It is just a notice for developers. So if you want to just provide some help documentation about that program to developer, then you can write in a comment. So that compiler will not take it and compile and process it, right? So we can configure that. So here you can see the comments how to write. I will show here. So let's see. Now, suppose we are writing some comments. So suppose one line comment. Suppose I want to put some comment here. Then if I say declaring variable, this becomes a part of code. This becomes a part of code. So what we have to do, we have to start it with double slash, then it is comment. Then it will not consider it. It is just a comment. But you can keep only one line. So if you want a multi-line comment, then you have to put slash asterisk, and we need to end asterisk slash like this. This is multi-line comment. That means, so sample program, this is one program, and it prints so number like this. We can add multi-lines. So we have a single multi-line. Actually, we also have a triple slash. That is actually XML comments. But that you will see later when you are dealing with that XML point, right? Not required. You can just use double slash and slash asterisk for comments. HTML comments, just now I showed you. HTML comments, that is in HTML, but in script, if you are writing, you have to write for legacy devices. For legacy code, you have to put those comments. So these are all the concept about the language basic. Now, once you know all this, that means now you are ready to learn JavaScript. That means to start learning JavaScript, first you have to know all this. That means how to put JavaScript in HTML. Second, how JavaScript refers HTML. Third, how JavaScript manages output. How JavaScript manages input. How JavaScript uses the strict mode. How JavaScript uses the comments and legacy code. Now we can start learning JavaScript. So that means now we have to first start with JavaScript language basics. We have to start with JavaScript language basics. And in JavaScript language basics, we are going to learn about variables, data types, operators, statements, and functions. After that, we will discuss about JavaScript OOP concepts. So object-oriented programming. First, we will start with JavaScript language basics. And while learning JavaScript language basics, we will design some examples also now. That means we will try to put all this knowledge and build some good applications, right? That will start from tomorrow, right? You try that exercise, that example I given to you. Only exercise what you done. You finished that bootstrap template, right? I got only from few people, not everybody. So why? Because now a company is ready for campus drive for UI developers. A company is ready, and I will forward the people who have done good job in the template design, right? For those people I will filter and I will send them. I'll send them. And actually our institute also requires some mentors. So to work with our Naresh Technologies mentors, we need some mentors. So mentors like you already learned up to JavaScript now. So till HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, you can support other people, and they give you a little bit pay for mentoring. So part time you can work, right? I will let you know about the job role and details, and you can forward your resumes if you are interested. While learning the course, you can part time do that job. You can do it, and you will get more perfection once you start mentoring anybody, clarifying his doubts. You will get more perfection in the technology you are learning, right? And companies are now, you are ready. Once we start few JavaScript concept, I will send you for interviews in various requirements. Okay. From next week onwards, I will forward you some companies so for interviews for UI developers, right? Of course JavaScript is required, but you can attempt. If they are satisfied with up to your bootstrap skills, that's good. The majority of companies are looking freshers in that way. So I will let you know about that. Okay. Then tomorrow we'll continue working with JavaScript, and as soon as possible you submit that template to me, bootstrap template. I will verify, right? Tomorrow we'll continue, right?